Hey, how's it going, everyone? What's up, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Marvel vs. Mortal Kombat. Will it ever happen? It's a very interesting thing that's been talked about for the past couple of years, especially with Ed Boon dropping hints and with the very heavy decline in players of Marvel vs. Capcom video games because of how poorly Capcom's handled it. But we're going to get into that topic after a quick shameless plug. I stream every night Mortal Kombat, fighting games. We play Dragon Ball FighterZ last night. We play Guilty Gear, everything like that. On twitch.tv/TutinTV, links in the description below. We're live every night around anywhere from 10 p.m. EST to 12 a.m. EST. That's when we start, and we go till about 4, 5, or 6 a.m. EST. So if you guys are interested in some more content, some more fighting game stuff, I'm not a bad player, pretty good actually, head on over to the Twitch channel and give us a follow. But anyways, let's jump into this video. So will Marvel vs. Mortal Kombat ever happen? Short answer, maybe. Very short answer, probably not. Really quick answer, is Marvel or Money Horse. It would take Warner Brothers and DC a shit ton of money, or Warner Brothers and NetherRealms technically, because Warner Brothers kind of owns DC from what I remember or know, at least the movie and video games and all that shit, all those rights. Um, but it would take a collaboration between them because NetherRealm Studio, their publisher for their video games is Warner Brothers, who's heavily involved with DC. So they kind of have to. There have to be like a long talk because I'm sure NetherRealm has like a contract going on with Warner Brothers with something to do with, maybe not working with Marvel or working with specific things for Marvel. I think the last news we actually heard about when it came to Marvel versus Mortal Kombat, or a Marvel game in general from NetherRealm. It was near the end of last year. Ed Boon was talking about it a little bit. He's never shut it down. He's always said he's very interested in doing it. And he was actually approached by someone at Marvel sometime last year, I think, and previous times, like numerous times in the past. So it's definitely a possibility that we will get a Marvel game, whether it's Marvel versus Mortal Kombat, whether it's Marvel versus DC, the Injustice universe, whether it's just a Marvel fighting game the way Injustice is just a DC fighting game. It's very possible. And I also think it's more likely now that we will get one, since Marvel has all the rights to the Fantastic Four, to the X-Men, to Deadpool, all the characters like that. I think it's more likely now than it was a couple years ago when Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was coming out, because Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite bombed because it did not have the X-Men, it did not have the Fantastic Four, it didn't have many other characters that it should have had. It bombed for that reason, and that was because Marvel was in the middle of fighting for the rights to X-Men, to Fantastic Four, to whatever else there was, Spider-Man even, but Spider-Man ended up in the game. So Marvel vs. Capcom just ended up being comprised of solely like Avengers characters, like characters that we have seen in the Avengers universe. The only one that came out of like left field was Venom. He was a product of Sony. But now that Marvel has all of their characters back, they got a Marvel game coming out this year with Avengers. With a lot of characters in it. I'm really hyped for that game. We'll probably talk about that sometime in the future. I think with Marvel actually acquiring all the licenses to these characters once again and having them all together, because Marvel lost the rights because Marvel was going bankrupt, and the only way in like the 90s, 80s or 90s, and the only way they could stay out of bankruptcy was actually selling off these character licenses to Sony and other, I think it was just Sony, actually, Sony and Fox. So that's the way they stayed out of bankruptcy. But thanks to the movies of the 2000s, they're getting all these characters back. I think it's very likely that we could see a big, what would the word be, jump back into the fighting game community, because they realize how big it is. They've always been in the fighting game community with Marvel vs. Capcom. They've always wanted to be a part of it. They see the gold mine that's there, the diamond mine that's there, the amazing player base that's there to build a game upon. And Mortal Kombat has become, or NetherRealm Studios actually has become, the most popular, one of, if not the most popular game developers in recent years. I mean, they're more popular than Street Fighter now because Street Fighter V bombed. They're more popular than Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear is kind of it's not but it's like got a lower fan base. It seems like I'd say NetherRealm is on the top right now when it comes to fighting games, especially since Marvel vs. Capcom tanks. So Marvel, if they're smart, think from a business standpoint, if they want to make another fighting game with all of their characters and have all of their characters represented in a good way, they're going to be jumping at NetherRealm. They're going to be sending executives. They're going to be fucking having the vice president and the president of Marvel fucking calling to talk to Ed Boon to get this fucking game made. Me personally, I definitely think there could be a Marvel game from NetherRealm Studios. But that's me being a glass half full kind of guy when it comes to wanting video games made. Um, Now, in a realistic aspect of it, with NetherRealm being partnered with Warner Brothers, that throws a big broomstick in the tire spoke. It makes it very difficult because of DC, because of Warner Brothers owning the cinematic and video game rights to DC, maybe just DC in general, I'm not sure, but it throws a snag in it because Marvel and DC have worked together before. They even have their own universe together with all the Marvel and DC characters, and it's actually pretty dope. I think there was only like one comic line that came out of it, but it was really, really cool. So, I mean, it's not entirely impossible, but that's going through all the DC executives, all the Warner Brother executives, making sure NetherRealm's okay, NetherRealm making sure it's okay with all of them, and then having to run it through the Marvel executives. But if Marvel's the one coming, for the talks, then that wouldn't be much of a problem. It's getting through the DC executives and the Warner Brother executives to actually get the game made. That's going to be the only problem with it. If NetherRealm was their own publisher, I'd say we would have had a fucking Marvel fighting game last year. I'd say the only reason we haven't had a NetherRealm Marvel fighting game in the past 6 years is because of Warner Brothers and DC and the tight grip that they've had on not really branching out with any other companies, and that's kind of how it's been for the years. Crossovers hasn't really ever been DC's thing. It's more of been, well, you're doing well, let me do what you're doing. That's kind of what it seems like that's what they tried to do with Injustice, and I mean, granted, they did it. Marvel has Marvel versus Capcom, so why not do DC versus Mortal Kombat? You know, and then even then, when that tanked, it was, well, let's just make a DC Elseworld where Superman goes crazy, after the Joker makes him kill his wife. I mean, a grittier version of Marvel vs. Capcom because it's kind of campy. That's what DC's kind of always done when it comes to Marvel. Marvel has a good idea. Besides characters, Marvel copied characters from DC, but when it comes to ideas, it's kind of been DC stealing ideas, so they're not really going to want to work with the people they're competing against, I don't think, so it's going to be very hard to get through to them on that. But if NetherRealm pushes hard enough, and Ed Boon, he's very passionate about comics, it seems like, superheroes, it seems like, and of course he's passionate about his video game series and his fucking company and what his fans want. So I think if Ed pushes hard enough, we could definitely see a Marvel fighting game in the next 5 years coming from NetherRealm Studios. Marvel versus Mortal Kombat, Marvel versus DC, something like that. And we'll talk about that game in a later video. Maybe next week, maybe this week, who knows. But again, that was my long answer. Short answer, maybe. Really short answer, probably not. Really, really short answer, if Ed Boon is the god that we all think he is, then yeah, we'll get one in the next 5 years. Hope to God. But anyways, that's my thoughts, guys. I really hope we could get a Marvel vs. Mortal Kombat game, or just a Marvel fighting game in general from NetherRealm Studios, because I love the way their games play, especially Injustice. I'm not the biggest fan of MK11, but I'm a really big fan of Injustice 1 and 2 and MKX, and MK9, so I really, really hope we get a Marvel fighting game. I'd love to play as Wolverine in the same aspect of how we got to play as the Flash and Injustice. Two of my favorite, and even Spider-Man. Three of my favorite superheroes: the Flash, Spider-Man, and Wolverine. Getting to play as all of them in a fighting game, whether it be separate ones, whether it be the same one, is a really cool thought to me. It's always the 2000s. It's always been a great time to be alive for comic book fans and just fucking nerds in general. Video game nerds, comic book nerds, movie nerds, shit like that. But for fighting game nerds, our time's yet to come, and I think NetherRealm could be the studio that brings it. and I really hope they do. But anyway, if you guys want to see some fighting games, check out my Twitch TV at twitch.tv/TootinTV. Links in the description below. We're going to be live here in about 30 minutes playing some Mortal Kombat 11 on PS4. So if you want to come by, we do viewer sex, we do ranked, we do cost, we do pretty much anything. We just talk about the game and everything else. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.